Hilarious.
Hilarious. Thank you, Charlotte. Here's John Gaunt. Here come your newspapers. It's a war on booze in the Daily Mirror.
Yeah, I mean, this is in all the papers. You're leading on as well. You know, this is nice recommendations. Price control to end cheap drink. You know, all of this is garbage. Is there anything different between people who live in the United Kingdom and people who live on the continent?
Yes.
Genetically, no,
there must be.
No, there isn't.
They drink
it's just
more.
that over there they've had relaxed drinking laws for longer. We've had the smoked glass of a saloon bar and kids like me and you sitting outside having a bottle of cola while our mum and dad were in the working men's club. That's what's gone wrong. Eventually we'll be the same as the continent. The idea that the way you control drinking is to make it more expensive is nonsense. I want cheap wine and cheap beer. What is wrong with that? Why don't we just clamp down on the morons who are drinking too much?
Yeah, but here's an interesting one, and the Daily Mail today, and it says, why are so many middle-class women dying for a drink? And I know a few of those to your left.
Because they're married to middle-class men, probably.
But what is it? Do you think there's a difference, Charlotte?
More.
Do you think there's a difference in our approach?
Well, I think there is. There's something in the mentality here, I think, that makes people think that it's okay to drink lots, and a lot of people won't pay attention until they actually get hit in the pocket, and then they might start to think, do you know what, we can't afford that.
Doesn't work with cigarettes, does it? Doesn't work with petrol. Still drive a car. It's garbage. The bottom line, how can we be different to people on the continent? We're not. The difference is the culture, and the culture is different because the licensing laws.
The licensing laws have changed.
Well, that's what we have. But you have to give it time. It's only been a year or so, Charlotte. No, it have to give these things time. What do you want? I want to go back to a bit where we took our forelocks and said, oh, yes, sir, I'll be in bed by 10 o'clock on a Sunday night to make sure I get to the ammunitions factory. We're not children. We don't need nannying. Control the morons. Have courts sitting on a Saturday before the kebab stain has congealed on their T-shirt. Have them doing 7 days hard labour. That's how you do it. But the majority of us can drink sensibly.
Charlotte, you made your point in a dignified way. The public will now decide.
Have another go at me. Public enemy number one.
Leave it like that. A dog attack here. We're talking about the owner of a dog that killed his nephew. He gets 4 months.
Yeah, you'll remember this story. This is Christian Folks up on Merseyside. He left his dog at his granny's, and the little boy was there. The little boy was there, John Paul, and the dog mauled him to death. Now, this man he's a soldier. He's now been sentenced to 4 months in prison. The judge says he'll live with a caravan of guilt for years. But I'm sorry, 4 months isn't long enough. He should have got a year or 2 years just for owning 2 illegal dogs, let alone the fact that they ripped his nephew to bits. This sends out completely the wrong message. Again, it's morons with these dogs who use them as a you-know-what extension. Let's clamp down. Let's not blame the dog. It's the irresponsible owner. Lock them up. We've got a couple of minutes left. I just want you to choose the next 2 stories. You do whichever ones you want. Do this one if you want. Wanted, 2 council trainees. Whites need not apply. A council has banned white people from applying for an £18,000 a year traineeship because it wants to increase staff diversity. This is Bristol Council. Now, I'm all for diversity, and they've got 630 people from ethnic minorities out of 9,000 on their staff. They should encourage ethnic minorities, obviously, to apply for jobs. I just think these stories where it's positive discrimination just wind up the rest of the community. I think we need to find more sophisticated ways of doing this.
Football?
Football, very quickly. I was saying I wasn't sure that Sean Wright-Phillips should be on the plane. Terry Venables had the same opinion a couple of days ago. He's changed his mind after the games this week, and he says Fabio gets it right, W-R-I-G-H-T. He thinks he will add something to our challenge, but also it's just exciting. It's got the whole squad there. It's just building up the fever.
Whoever he's chosen, they now have got to play as a team, and that's it. Those are the boys who've got to deliver the World Cup. And we want to finish with a hero, a man who literally tried to lay down his own life, called Dave Hartsock.
It's a wonderful story, this. He's a skydiver. He was taking a woman on her first jump. They were strapped together. His first parachute didn't open. The second parachute didn't open. He was hurtling towards the ground, and he realised they were going to die probably, so he made sure that he landed first. As a result, he's now paralysed. But isn't that just a wonderful, heartwarming story?
It is.
In the Express this morning. He's in most of the papers, by the way.
Would you have the guts to do that, Charlotte?
I think that's so brave. That is so brave.
But would you have you done skydiving?
No, I'm terrified of heights.
I think you should do it without a parachute.
No, I'm not doing it with the
You should do it. Strap yourself to me and John. There'd be no chance of anything going
just
wrong.
Bounce. It'd be like a human bungee.
Mr. John Gaunt, thank you very much indeed, John. Thank you. You're watching Sky News Sunrise on a Wednesday.
52 runs at home.
OK, Charlotte, as regards the emails, what are folk talking about?
Yeah, on this minimum pricing and whether it should be introduced for alcohol, lots of people saying it won't work, actually. Glenn Hadley said it won't make a difference. People will find the money from elsewhere. Alcohol is a massive part of our society. Andy Will says setting a minimum price won't stop binge drinking. Look at how expensive cigarettes are, and many people that can't afford to still smoke. Jaden King says it's a bad idea. It would punish those that drink responsibly. What about fixed food prices to address obesity? He's making the point there that he doesn't think it'll work. And Andrew James says people are very resourceful. They'll get alcohol whatever the price. And moving on, we're talking about Sir Paul McCartney actually admitting that he's forgotten many of his songs. He doesn't know the words to them. And I said perhaps that was an effort to forget about the frog chorus. Perhaps he would admit not one of his greatest songs. Nick Garston, I've upset. He said, I loved that song when I was young. I'm sorry about that, Nick. Everyone's saying that they do. And Steve Cattle says, he makes a good point. He says, how do you forget the words to the frog chorus? He says, they only go dum. Well, I'm not going to sing it, but you know how it goes. Dum, dum, dum. Together now.
Yeah, that'll now be repeated on YouTube incessantly with you three singing Dum Dum Dum.
You make a great head frog.
Toad, King Toad. Weather-wise, Lucy, what have you got out there today, just to preview what's coming up?
So much better than it was yesterday. I'm so happy to say it. It's all over. It's finally sunny. For the next few days, lots of blue sky. Temperatures rising a few degrees. It's time to get out and about, maybe get your summer wardrobe on.
Okay.
It's looking good.
Thank you. Your summer wardrobe looks very good there, very peachy. Lucy's forecast during the break. We're back right after this. Right, let's get a rundown of what else is happening. Charlotte has those details.
Eamon, thanks very much for that. And a health watchdog is recommending the introduction of a minimum price per unit of alcohol sold in England. NICE has issued the advice as part of a report on reducing the harm caused.
I've no idea how it goes.
You never think of that, do you? You think it's like a jukebox,
I know.
you know.
Well, let's hope President Obama doesn't surprise him by saying, you know, can you sing my favourite song ever?
Never heard of it. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you very much indeed. Let's look at the newspapers on this. Sky News Sunrise on a Wednesday morning. Very good to see you. Thanks for your company. These two gentlemen are sitting here because very shortly we're going to be talking about a minimum price for alcohol and maybe a ban on advertising, which is one of the stories in the news today, recommended by the health watchdog NICE. That to come. Leading the news this morning is the situation in Israel, which has begun to deport some of the foreign activists seized when it raided the flotilla of aid ships heading to... Dominic, thanks very much indeed for that. Let's get a rundown what else is happening news-wise. Charlotte's got the latest.
Thanks, Eamon. A health watchdog is recommending the introduction of a minimum price per unit of alcohol sold in England. NICE has issued the advice as part of a report on reducing the harm caused by excess drinking.
Fine, just on someone else's hair.
Yeah, she's got half her own hair. I think
yes,
there's only a few
the rest of it's from either China or somewhere. Very good, thank you. Is that your own hair, Charlotte?
It is all my own hair,
yeah,
yes.
No, very well
Thanks
it looks
too.
Now, Charlotte, you like a drink. Or three.
It has been known.
Yes, it has been known. And we're talking about this now. This is one of the stories Charlotte was dealing with there, and this is the health watchdog, NICE. And they're saying, oh, they're talking about all this business, putting up the price of alcohol, banning advertising, all this situation. With me now, Mark Hastings. Mark is from the British Beer and Pub Association, and we've got the Chief Executive of Alcohol Concern, Don Schenker. Gentlemen, you know, we've been hearing this argument for so long. It just goes on and on and on, and nothing seems to be done about it. And you know what? Before we start arguing, I think a lot of people have a lot of sympathy for both of you. People do understand the health problems and implications, and people do love their pubs and the idea that it's all very British and whatever, but something's got to give. What has got to give, first of all, Mark?
Well, I think the first thing we need to reflect on is that the trends in alcohol are actually moving in quite a positive direction. The amount we drink as a nation has been falling for the last 6 years.
And why is that, do you think? Is that education, or is that we haven't got the money anymore?
I think education, increased campaigning, increased information about the perils of hazardous drinking are beginning to have an impact on the way that people drink.
Okay, so Mark thinks it's going in the right direction now. You're involved with Alcohol Concern. Is that the way you're seeing it?
I mean, yes, there has been a slight drop in consumption. It's too
early to say. So this is good then, isn't it?
Yeah, very good, very good. Very positive. It's too early to say, I think, if that's going to have a real long-term impact, because we've seen
troughs and peaks in the past, and the general trend in the past 50 years has been a doubling of alcohol consumption. I think the key thing, I'm surprised Mark is sitting here arguing against minimum price. The pubs would win if the supermarkets were not able to discount the alcohol so cheaply as they do at the moment. Pubs would not be closing to such an extent if they didn't have to compete.
I would have thought,
such
Mark,
cheap
from your position representing the pub association, for instance, I mean, really, people might say, well, look, you know, the poor old pub isn't the worst problem, it's the supermarkets, let's hammer them.
Agreed. And we think that the government has come up with the right way of doing that, which is tackling the irresponsible promotions of alcohol that the supermarkets do by, for example, a ban on loss-leading promotions. We believe that that's a targeted way of addressing this problem, rather than a minimum price, and the effect of a minimum price is effectively to raise the cost of living for ordinary families and increase the profits of the supermarkets. We don't think that's a very positive